Hello, this is Ayman Haidar from eMedical Notes. Today we will be talking about the new scriptwriter features that if you don't have it by now, you will be getting that in the next few days to next week. As you may know, that the reason we have to update our scriptwriter is because there's a change in the Surescripts, which is the clearinghouse that we use, to a newer version which made us have to update our software. Also, since we did the upgrade, we ended up adding a few more features. Okay, sorry about that. Today we will be talking about a few things which actually the changes happened then, which include the patient benefits, pharmacy search, in the area where you write the script, formularies, and refill requests. Also, if you see those two new items, which is the cancel request and change request, those are two new features that have been added to eMedical Notes scriptwriter. I will try to go maybe with some examples for different test patients. Maybe we'll start with this patient, David Cross. Just at the top right here, as you've seen before, actually, it doesn't look much different, except we've added a couple more things to it, which is one is a long-term and supply pharmacy. If the patient does have long-term and supply pharmacy per his insurance, this something will show up here, whether he is covered or not. If it's empty, that means we don't have any information there. The plan and then the plan ID also will show up right now. And also you will notice if you hover over the formulary name, you will get a lot more information. Most of the time that might not be needed for you, but every now and then we may ask you about it, or insurance or even Surescript may require some information. Also, you'll notice something new, and there's a checkbox here. This will be important if we have more than one formulary, and I'll show you that later. There is some changes in the med history as well. Just like before, if there's any errors or if there is no way to get that information, then it'll show that. But also will show you the regular medication history. Let me pick one maybe that does have medication history there. It's just to show you the change. The change is minor really, but it's quite helpful. Let me try to push an update. Let's pick another patient. Okay. So this patient does have a history or medication history returned back to us. The only difference here is it does show actually the refills and day supplies, but in addition to that, now the medicine name is highlighted, and you can actually prescribe that medicine by clicking on it. It will only pick up the medication name and the prescription, but that could be a little time saver. Anyway, we move down to the pharmacy area. Right now, you will always have both fields listed for retail and mail. And obviously, just like before, this will default to the retail pharmacy and the mail pharmacy for the patient if they have been used in the past. We will be talking a little bit about searching in this because the behavior of the search has changed per the guidelines of Surescript. When you search in the retail pharmacy field, You will be able to search just like before by the pharmacy name, by the address, city, zip code, phone number, etc. And it will only pick pharmacies that are retail or pharmacies that do not have a flag, whether retail, mail, or others. So typically those pharmacies are retail pharmacies. And you will see that actually in the type right here. The R is for retail, and if it's empty also, that means they're retail. The service level has been shortened a little bit more to fit it, but you can hover over it and you should get a little bit of reference information there. So if I search for a pharmacy, let's see, maybe we'll pick this pharmacy for now. The second field, which is the mail, this is extremely important to remember that you cannot search by address, zip code, or city in the mail field. You can only search by name, and it will only show you the mail pharmacies. So obviously we all know Medco is a common one, so if you search for Medco, it's going to show all the Medco ones. But you cannot search for mail pharmacies in Palmetto, Florida, for example. And this is a requirement, as you might imagine. And the type shows here is an M. There's other types also. Again, if you hover over it, it'll show you the different abbreviations there. So if I pick this one for now. And just like before, now you can pick which pharmacy to send the prescription to by clicking this or this. It used to be a drop down, now it's a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to pick the first one. Next we go to the changes in the script writing area, which showed some change actually, which is actually quite a bit of changes, especially for people who like to write for compounds. Now we do have the ability to send compound medications and or supplies. Remember, the compounds are not in the medication database, so these are to be written manually, and I'll show you how to do that. The rest of the pharmacy or the medication search has not changed too much, so we can pick any medication like before and either pick the frequency and the directions from similar prescriptions or write it in here. There is one major change, or actually a couple changes here. There's a new field that's called SIG. The SIG field is actually what goes on the prescription as directions. And you can do it actually as you did before by building it from clicking on those fields on the top. Like this one says take, and then say 2, 3 times a day. As you do that, it will build the SIG for you. But also, you can type it if you like to convey maybe special directions before meals, for example. The quantity refills are the same as before. The units will look a little different to you because now they're using a different set of units here. It's pretty comprehensive, and it should, and most of the time, it should pick the correct unit here once you pick the medication, but in some cases you may have to double check that. Down here, the PRN, DAW are the same thing. Pharmacy notes are the same as before. Again, more emphasis. This is extremely important. Most of the errors that we get reports back from Surescripts is somebody has written some SIG information in the pharmacy notes. Please do not write any SIG related information, because there's a chance that the pharmacist might not see the pharmacy notes, and if there is any notes, they should not contain any SIG information. This is very, very important. We will keep an eye on those as well, because we do have to report errors to Surescripts, and actually they measure those for us too. So we have to be careful with that. There was a field here for office notes, I took that out. I know because that was confusing to a lot of offices. They thought maybe that does go on the prescription, and it did not. It is only part of the office notes. So to decrease the confusion, I took that out. We'll review the medication as before, and you do have the same, pretty much the same buttons here, so you can send it as before. Let me click on send. I'm doing test data and test pharmacies, so it should be okay. So medication has been sent. Now it shows on the bottom here. Let me show you just quickly here. If you do a compound medicine, just look at the screen here. When I click on compound, a couple of things will happen. The search field for the medication will disappear, and the med name here will show up. And here you can type the compound medicine name. Now again, this is extremely important not to use this field for any medication that is in a database. An example, please don't write any prescriptions for like something like Lipitor, Nexium, or whatever. Any prescription, regular prescription, regular medication, please do not write it here. They will keep a tab on this, and they will obviously let us know, and we would have to let you know if there's issues with that. So anything that is in the med database, please look for that, because when we do that, there's some certain information go on the prescription. If we use the compound medicine screen, it's different set of information there that goes. When you pick a compound medicine, the similar scripts dropdown will change to any compounds that you've used in the past. Since there's really no medication ID, it will list all the ones that you've used in the past, and with the same directions. So if you pick Magic mouthwash, it will fill the rest of the prescription right here. And then, like usual, you can do a review. Here, obviously, I missed the units. It will not let me send the prescription without units. You can pick whatever here. You can say it's unspecified, or liquid, or whatever. It's up to you. Then review it, send it, and it should go like normal. Supplies is not much different than the compounds. In fact, it should look quite the same, except in supplies you use things like crutches, splints to pharmacies that do support those, or do have the ability to receive those supplies prescriptions. Now, let's see if there's anything else we need to know here. Probably not a whole lot. Let's now look at let's look at a patient that has more than one formulary. So if we look at this patient, you will have 3 formularies pulled back for this patient. And again, we have 3 check boxes. Those come handy when you pick a medication, and let's say this medication is covered, preferred level 1 or 2 on a particular insurance or a particular formulary. You can pick that one, or you should pick that one formulary to go with the prescription. Let's maybe do an example. Let's see a lisinopril, or let's do lisinopril. That seems to be a common one. See, this medication here is not formulary on PPMC. Here is non-formulary PPMA, but here it is preferred level 1. So Surescripts asks us to pick PPMB for this medication, so we can go up and pick this one. And when we do that, when we send the prescription,